Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lifting. Today's recording is being done on 10/24/25. Before I get to anything, I now open the circle to true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So, Joanna?
We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love you, let them nourish you, and let them bring you to your highest good. We pray for ourselves, our friends, our family, and our loved ones to also let healing energies in, to let it love us and nourish us and bring us to our highest good. We ask for benevolence now to come in with no conflicting agenda so that we may have this conversation in great understanding. And we ask for malevolent or mischievous type beings to be swept away so that we may have this conversation in peace. And with that, and with great blessings that we always send your way, we say, so be it.
And so be it. This topic was brought to me by a friend of mine just yesterday. And normally now we don't really always plan the shows out ahead. Sometimes on GSC we do, but it's better to do impromptu because then there's no blowback for it, or hardly any, except there was a little today, I suppose, pre-blowback. All it is over something simple. We always said we'd go back to basics, and this was over empathy and empaths is really what this was about, and or empaths and empathy, one of those two. Take your pick. But this was actually brought to just a friend of ours that wanted to see a show topic, and this was one of the simpler types of topics. So. This is something that's been touched on by other people, but there's some things that this is probably mostly a channel type episode, but there are a few things that I will touch on. But before that, we normally don't do affirmations, blessings on the regular shows other than Q&As. So, but this was given by, these were by Elena and Bess. I'll give the other one at the end. To be empathic is to all be temporarily vulnerable to the emotional chaos of society. And this is what's going on right now with people that are feeling all these big blobs of anxiety, aside from the Samhain energies at the time this is being recorded, pre-Halloween and Halloween energies. People must know from September 21st, October 31st, or November 1st, rather. That's the Samhain, and there's a lot of chaos, a lot of doors, portals opening. You're hearing all these fake portal stories too, I might add. There was one that was told to me by somebody called the Sarasota portal. That was up there with the Lionsgate, as far as I'm concerned. Three-letter agencies are making up these portal stories, but there's enough real ones to go around, folks, and there's enough of these tulpa energies, thought forms, and all of this egregor energies and everything to go around, either being formed by people or being formed by other people and hitting other people that are empathic. And empathic that's where you sense the emotions of others, or you think it's you, but it's not. When I lived back in Tempe, Arizona, I lived with a guy that I didn't know this was his thoughts. I was getting really homesick, all this other stuff, these really homesick thoughts. He left, all that went with him. Another person I knew was standing in a McDonald's line with somebody in front of her and was thinking of her food, and then she was thinking of some other food and realized it was the guy in front of her. That's telepathy, but empathy is empathics is part of some of the premises behind telepathy. It falls under the psionics category, but there's empathy and there's empathic. Empathic is where you're taking on the emotions, and you really shouldn't. People think they should be a sponge. It's like that video you saw the time where somebody's taking on everybody's junk and then they give it to the cat. Stupid. You don't ever want to do that. You want to shield yourself as much as possible. They always say it's noble to take on somebody's junk. It's not. It's one of the stupidest things you can do. But empathy is where you have heart space for another person. But it doesn't mean that just because you're wearing your heart on your sleeve doesn't mean you take on their crap. So this was an interesting show topic. Normally, people send us Q&As, but if you want to send us show topics, this will be far more helpful. at this point in time. I realize some of the questions that could be sent could morph into show topics all on their own, which we're considering that as well. So for both GIC and the lifting. So, but this is actually quite interesting because the energies, the way they're heightened, especially like I said, Samhain, and then also to the winter solstice, especially that chunk of time, everything's heightened. Also, you have the psionic dampening out there, that technology we've spoken about before, that can turn into psionic enhancement that could pump all of this out there. There was even an example on Star Trek Voyager of a species that was overly empathically sensitive, that couldn't handle it. You'll find that if you're already energetically sensitive, you're going to be going nuts right now. And it's especially ornery right now for 2025 in the Samhain. And by the time you see this, it's probably going to be slightly past the Samhain, but you'll get what I'm saying because it's going to be well on its way to the winter solstice at that point. So, Joanna?
No, I think it's a very interesting topic. There's also a part of this where we talk about ghosts and empathic transference, why it's not a good idea to
Can't have them around, yeah.
Because you will begin to absorb the energies of the ghost figure. You have to think of them, they haven't quite moved on. And so if you get entangled in energy fields with them, then you could start taking on, and especially some of the illnesses and problems that they were having.
Whatever they died from, yes.
You could potentially then start to be showing some of that yourself. So it is not a good idea to, well, the ghost doesn't mind being here, they can be here. That's really not a good idea.
That's not the point of it.
So because of what they can do, again, besides haunting, we're not talking that. We're just literally talking the transference of what can happen from their energies into yours. That's kind of an unknowing empathic kind of issue that could happen pretty much to anyone. You don't have to be thought of yourself as an empath in that way. It's going to happen anyway, but it's important to bring up if you're going to do this topic as well.
And demons will do it too. They'll push their negative crap onto people. We've said depression, anger, hatred, all of these things, fear, all just because they feed off it. They need you to experience it so they can pull it back out of you, kind of thing. You already knew about that, the Lushing prospect, but the empathic transference is a huge one right now, especially in the Samhain and the holiday season. It's really heightened up, especially people's emotions surrounding people that have passed away, as well as, here's another part, actually, the empathic part is saturated land that something horrible happened on. Like The Shining. The Shining is probably the best example. Stephen King's The Shining is probably the best example known to man of that kind of thing. A little exaggerated, mind you, but the topic is still sound with that. There was even a story of a guy who, him and his wife went into this hotel in the Bahamas, I believe, and he had this overwhelming urge to he was really pissed at his wife. All of a sudden, he tried to drop his child off a balcony, all this other stuff, and he didn't know what he was doing. The previous person, and then he tried to kill himself. The the one person that originated that empathic transference was somebody who did that very thing. The land got saturated and it kept repeating a loop over and over again. Some ghost occurrences are these repetitious loops. This is why you hear me do audits, where I say I ask True Benevolent Source Creator, True Benevolent Earth Mother, and the True Benevolent Verses to audit and code audit this piece of land as of this moment in time. And I always say, mirror across time space where appropriate is forever so in all moments, all sessions, and expressions. That is the shorter version. You want the longer version, go to the Q&As that we did. That's in there. But this is quite Oh, I'm being told I got to say the whole thing. I can't just abbreviate. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Isaac doesn't say something all day and he tells me that. Okay. It's basically I asked True Benevolent Source Creator, True Benevolent Earth Mother, and the True Benevolent Verses to please audit and code audit this land and or property and or people as of this moment in time, coming and going, past, present, and future. And also may the codes be audited and deleted where appropriate, mirror across time space where appropriate, under the supervision of True Benevolent Source Creator, True Benevolent Earth Mother, and the True Benevolent Verses. It is forever so in all moments, all sessions, and expressions. That is and I usually snap my fingers to solidify the end of it. That is the entirety of that one. Thank you, Mr. Anal Retentive. Okay, but we had already done that in the Q&A, but okay. But this, I do that, and that audits it down to the Schumann resonance, is what that actually does. And that gets rid of some of that residual empathic junk, or it begins to desaturate that. Anybody going to a haunted site, try that one out along with our usual true benevolence, so with no conflicting agendas, and the law of one. Try those. When you go to these haunted sites, if you want to clear them, any demonically ridden sites, things of this nature, you will start to scatter it like Dawn dishwashing liquid in a greasy pan. Or anything like that. So I find this actually interesting that this was the topic choice, that this happened to come up. There's no accidents behind this. And the fact that it's this time of year, and I'll just say the holiday season, because again, by the time you see this, it's probably going to be closer to Thanksgiving than it is the Samhain. So, which ironically is actually more of a lull in that while it's creeping back up towards the winter solstice and Christmas. You're in the clear when you get into January until March, which is the spring equinox. So summer's no picnic either with the solstice, but it's nowhere close to the Samhain, guys. So strongest time of the year. Spells are the most potent, and the same thing with winter solstice. You got some potency there, of course, or they wouldn't have honored it. No, the Celtic tribes wouldn't have. But I thought this was actually quite an interesting topic. One thing I will point out about ghosts, though, one thing that I recently learned why ghosts are getting past our tripwires here. For one, they're not exactly evil. Uh, some are, of course, the haunting type, but I'm talking about the innocent type. There are negative entities and aliens and dimensionals and dark wizards and dark magicians, and I found out humans can do this too. That's a dark magician or witch or warlock, whatever the hell you want to call them, sorcerer, sorceress. These ghosts get tagged and they become a tracker ghost. This is a new definition, folks. A tracker ghost is an unwitting ghost that was lied to by some magician and or angelic, alien, whomever, is basically, and they're basically told, go talk to this guy, he will help you to the other side. They cross the wall of your house, therefore that creates an anchor point, and said creepy gets into your space past your walls. This is how demons enter our world as well, where they need animal and or human sacrifice to use as an anchor to come from whatever dimensional space, usually that Beetlejuice layer I've told people about, that strip that's a long spirit and or dimensional space that's in any of these other diagonal spherical directions, that wherever they're from, frequency here, you create the one they need, they're right here to anchor. Everything works with that same set of physics, from spaceships to wormholes to portals to cords to threads, everything. Wraith cracks in the walls, things of that nature, like they depicted in Doctor Who, all of it. So, that's just a brief brush up on that type of paranormal activity. So, I don't know about you. Do you want to add anything before
I'm just curious to what others are going to say.
All right. I just thought this was interesting. So, thank you, April, for the topic. So, and you will see other Q&As again, I promise. It's just they're fairly taxing on myself, especially when there's large groups of them. I will get back to it. Just don't send it in at the moment. But if you have a show topic, I'm all ears at the moment. So, then, or something that could morph, you feel, into a show topic. I got a question that's an overarching topic. So, that would suit us or myself specifically better in that format, because then we could just record the show that evening after getting it. So, all right. Let's see. Is it Elena Vessa or Isaac hasn't been well lately? I don't think he's up to channel spec yet. He goes, well, you're a little too crotchety actually to do it, but he goes, think again, douchebag. But okay, yeah, you're a little pissed off at the moment. So let's see. Why? I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. That's it. Yes. Okay. Yeah, don't mind Isaac. He's being a jerk today. Okay. I can see. Also, I do want to ask a personal favor of some of our viewers. In this time where Isaac isn't quite himself, please do not call on him for help. He actually probably could use your help. From a recent attack he got, and this is a misnomer. I will say this before I go into the channel. A misnomer is that these guides cannot be hit. They're too high up. Wrong again. Think again. Some of them even have died and have been replaced by some demonic garbage. It does happen, folks. This didn't happen to him. He just got severely attacked, badly by witchcraft and then also by a microwave weapon. He's a physical being. So, yes, it did happen. So, you got to take a second look at your guides. If they're saying, oh no, this can't happen, they're full of crap, or they're not trying to scare you, or they're spirit. Spirit cannot be touched. This is the misnomer. Spirit over in the omniversal, super omniversal area. This is impervious to attack. There are other things up for grabs, including multiverse. So, and it's higher frequencies. Some beings in higher frequencies that are wearing equipment sometimes can be bad guys. So, misnomer, guys, misnomer. If you want to see that as a bigger show topic, you let us know. But it's a big misnomer that falls under more GIC topic, actually. Galactic history. So, okay, Vesa. Ooh, well, there's a big of a rush there. Okay. It is a little weird coming into a face with a bunch of hair on it, but a little fuzzier than I would care for, because almost everyone where we are is clean shaven, including the men. Yeah, it's actually more common with groups like Asgardian types and such that have the large beards like you'd expect from Vikings, but Viking type. But this was brought up because right now, with the potency of this energy, absolute empathy, as also Hajamal was putting it, the proper use of psionics in the previous episode that you did. Whereas you cannot be in a particular way, even if it's medically conditioned oriented, because and lack of empathy, because certain things will be enhanced during energies like this. Even though there's a lot of oppression out to them, they're having a hard time during the Samhain, but also in any other period, especially PowerPoints around the time of the year, lack of empathy, and especially if you're empathic, not utilizing that particular skill then creates a dark reflection, which is a tulpa. A Grigor is more a group, but a tulpa is what is happening. And I'm not saying anybody that's not doing their shadow work is haunting themselves. Sometimes that's true, sometimes it isn't. But with these heightened times of year, if you are not completely yourself, even if it's a medical thing, you can't exactly be blamed for this. But doing the due diligence to rebalance everything, regardless of pride, regardless of circumstance, regardless of feelings towards anything medical and or pharmaceutical and or herbal. Some people have gone the other way and not liked any of it. Some people have gone one way over the other, and some hate one over the other and love one over the other. There are times where one is applicable, another one's applicable, and somewhere in between. You have to intuit what's been corrupted over here, and some's been corrupted over here. You have to be very intuitive when it comes to this. Even your water, for instance, you've always been told, drink bottled water out of the taps. It's now flipped. Because nobody suspected the tap water was less dangerous than the microplastic-ridden water bottles. Haven't you noticed if you let one sit a while, it tends to smell? This is why. I know this is not the topic, but I am just saying, absolute empathy, not necessarily beyond tighter circle, deeper roots. That's not what I'm saying. You don't have to all love your neighbors and stuff like that. That's a fallacy. I'm just saying, not being over amounts of judgment. Of course, you're being in judgment over something as being human, and to actually be be on the ball, as you would say, to notice something. But over the top is what I'm saying. Sometimes it's all right, because if it's a passion, you're wanting to hear to change something, et cetera, et cetera. But if you are not within your perfect I am presence, it can throw you off even more, especially this time of year. I will go into questions if you'd like.
So, we have to acknowledge, I think, how chaotic, and if you know anybody, if you know a bunch of people or whatever, it's pretty chaotic.
Know yourself, so you know if the energies are either messing with you or you're getting oversaturated from them empathically. Yes.
True. And, but also the fact, just in general, the reason this is such a timely conversation, even besides the time of year, is that life has become pretty chaotic and strenuous for many, many, many people. I think it's hard for anyone to walk around right now and see, all of their family members or friends or whatever, life's a, piece of cake for them. It's just gotten harder and more challenging. So it's very difficult, of course. You want to be empathic and understanding to people you care about. And in general, most people just care about a lot of people in general. No one wants to see suffering. No one wants to see suffering in the medical field. No one wants to see children suffering. Now you've got the stress that everyone's now in fear of whether or not food stamps are going to become available. We have to talk about the stressors that are building and building and building. And then again, when you have a lot of people who are in an empathic type of state, then those energies become magnified even more. So it's one of those issues that we have to acknowledge all of the stressors going on. And if you see yourself that way, it's said over and over again, that neutral place, that annulum type of place to try and be in, yes, you want to observe it. Yes, you want to be able to offer comfort or words of wisdom, but look at it also differently in one way. It's not about you just absorbing it. It's also about you magnifying it, because again, it gets magnified within you, and then another empathic person feels you. It's just exponentially then.
It leapfrogs from one to another.
Yes, and it gets magnified. So this is one of those situations where finding your calm in the storm is really, really important for a lot of people, I think, that are empathetic in that way, that if you do it right, it's going to feel like you're being a bit cold to other people because you're so used to crying a lot, to taking on all of these emotions.
You're processing it, yes.
Yes, and you don't want to really do that. You can be empathetic to a situation, to how difficult somebody is. But again, I can't stress enough, it's not just the fact that you are feeling it, it's the fact that it will be amplified and amplified. And I hate to say it, but the truth of the matter is that is the desired effect right now by those negative beings and people that are in power. Some of these stressors that are going on, again, never put it past the powers that be, at least in this country, that they're doing everything they can do to get people to break, to want to have a civil war, to want to do all of these things. This is part of the ploys that are going on, and it's not going to be done by making you comfortable. It's going to be done by making you very uncomfortable as possible.
Or you should be uncomfortable when you see certain things too.
True, you should be uncomfortable, but you need to know when you're being also gaslit. And this is part of what is really going on. So what you want to do is, of course, help yourself, help your neighbors. This may be a time right now, again, where, there needs to be potluck and people sharing of foods or things like that. That could actually, potentially come about, and people and churches and different things that say they're for goodness need to now show that goodness potentially to other people who are suffering to the best ways possible. But you don't want to give energies to it. You don't also want to, in an empathic way, put out that this is never ending. or
Mhm.
any thoughts like that. This really truly is a harsh time for people to just stand up, and instead of being in fear, to stand up in very strong way, say, no, this way of being is not going to occur. It's not going to occur to the people around me, to my society, to my neighbors, to whatever. Absolutely not. It is not how we are moving forward. And this is the time that you have to kind of bring that type of energy forward, not the fear of it getting worse and worse and never getting out of it, which is really what they want you to do. So, empaths, you have a great, if you know you're empathic, you have a great responsibility to not give in to these energies. And I can't stress that enough. Yes, it's a lot of personal responsibility to know yourself, to know what's going on, to know why it's going on, so that you can find a way as an icebreaker to cut your way through it. But again, do not get into that fear mode or that it's never ending kind of mode.
Yes, so because they want you to get into the it's never ending mode. And people always say, oh, that's a pipe dream, or if that's a utopian world. Yes, but it's not a pipe dream. A pipe dream basically means that it's never going to happen. It's just more of a utopic fantasy. Wrong. That's the kind of thing you want. That's the kind of place you're shooting for. So, as you would say, bring that energy here and continue to move towards that. Just like it's the same set of physics, energy here, bring this one here and put it here. Like you always say, go to the end and put it here. That's exactly what's involved in these physics. It's never changed. It's as simple as that. I shouldn't say as simple as that, because everybody has been trained to think more complexly. Of course, where you think 10 steps ahead and you're thinking of symbolism, you're thinking of this and that, but sometimes it's Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is usually the right one. Don't give in to what they want from you. Yes, it is difficult. I will not lie. An incredible amount of difficulty. Also, an incredible amount of, let's say, crotchety energy and feelings being put out there by different people towards each other. Liberal this, conservative that. And it, from our standpoint, we side neither. Yes, we are inclusive of all beings, but we also know when to keep certain people and energies out, tighter circle, deeper roots. We take philosophy from both. Lonulosians, in particular, rigorously guard their borders. And if you were here, you would understand why. It's a utopia, and we wish to keep it that way. We do not consider other people lesser. If people want to live here with us, of course. But then they work with us. They work, literally work with us. They're part of the workforce for a couple of years, and then they get to live wherever they want. But then, if something were to happen, of course, people are called to help. Like if you have your National Guard and whatnot. Elaine and I work with both the MTTF and other forces sometimes. We choose to. This isn't, we're well past our 2 years. So it's just like what you heard in the DNOC timeline. Where people had to work for 2 to 4 years, and that's all for the rest of their life. And they could go do whatever they want. All their needs were met. That's essentially how it is here. There's certain extras, of course, you have to buy, like if you want a bigger house, or if you want to go vacation, or you want to go somewhere. Of course, you'd have to work for that, like for anybody here. So it's both non-units. So you will find that out real quick when people start to show up. Some people think our policies are unfair. Sometimes it may seem unfair, like how your United States is becoming. It is because it is becoming more united, not divided, in certain areas. Divided politically, united, eventually you're going to see North America united. You know about that story. And the United States will kind of be the harbinger of this, or seemingly almost a harbinger of doom when it's not. And I'm not talking about any president or any politician. I'm talking about the infrastructure, not necessarily to any man, woman, child, political party. But with this, ultimate empathy right now is warranted. I know the whole love thy neighbor thing is old hat, and that that dead horse has been beaten to death by Christianity pretty much, and that people are told, oh, they have an obligation to take care of their fellow man. No, you don't have an obligation to it. Yes, if that is your calling, do so. Like a nurse, a doctor, a cop, a fireman, an EMT. Like he tells that story of the woman that invites her ex-husband into her apartment, and she said it was her Christian duty to do so when her intuition told her otherwise. He was arrested by the end of the night. So, yeah, you have to go with your intuition and your gut on that one. I'm not saying that it's a religious or spiritual obligation. I would never do such a harmful thing to people. Always trust your intuition. I am just saying you don't even always have to be kind, so to speak, but just don't give in to the gaslighting that's happening. Don't get sucked into your politics. Don't get sucked into some of the bigger narratives that are out there. Are a few. There are some dramas. Excuse, I have to take care of one thing. Excuse, there are parasites that fly through periodically. They are quite annoying. These are associated with the time of year. They look like little flower bloom-like things that are flying through. They're actually quite obnoxious. We have seen some of these ourselves. It's just like having a swarm of locusts eat your crops. This is what I'm talking about. Think of a tulpa as like these things, the annoying swarms of locusts and flies that come through to eat your crops and basically swarm around poop. The flies around poop, the locusts around crops. Think of thought forms doing the same. They eat away at all of you. It follows the law of one premise. The one is helped, all are helped, the one is harmed, all are harmed. This is why you must adhere to not giving in to the gaslighting, grounding, and all things, no matter how you had to do that. And doing this, the law of one, as well as grounding, as well as saying within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. This is where this needs to be.
And I would guess that it's, probably going to be just not like this next week or so. It's going to be like months,
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
That everyone has to really pull their big boys and big girls panties on, let's just say, and really be able to focus on what we would call the prize instead of taking on so much around you, to be able to focus in intention going towards the end and seeing things better. If you choose to want to focus on more of, as we've said, the pre-galactic society coming into being, within all of those areas, there are things that have to change here and will be changing over these next 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Education has to change for the better, okay? Healthcare has to change for the better. The monetary system will probably start to change as well. It's not necessarily going to be for the worse. It's just going to be something that's different. And so, and as all of these different areas go through a changing process, first, again, for a lot right now, it's just the point of realizing that people that you maybe thought there were for a benevolent reason to have your best interests at heart don't. And so that's one of the big ones going on right now that you're even seeing, in the reasons why these difficulties are now getting ready to, hit people. Because they're not actually cared for. So what you have to do is understand what's really going on, and you must focus on seeing it correct, that it's been corrected, that it's right, that it's, here, that the change is happening, now, that it is getting better. And, people are now noticing, and people's thoughts are now coalescing into a great force that will force the change. So you have to understand that some of this gaslighting is to prevent what I just said.
Yes.
So you
exactly
have to,
100%.
Yes. So you have to not You must maintain the understanding of what's going on so that you can deal with these gaslighting pressures as they're going to be about you. And again, I'll say it 20 times tonight. If you are an empath and you know who you are hearing this, you can magnify energies. Choose wisely which ones that you want to magnify. Do you want to magnify the co-creation of something better? Or do you want to magnify the anxiety, the pain, the fear, and everything that other people are radiating that you potentially would pick up on and magnify out there? I hope you choose the co-creative, positive way of being. You should be telling your TV a lot of no's right now. If you do watch the news and you do watch things that this is unacceptable, it will stop because you said so. And you really have to be strong in those intentions. So I think, again, this is, I hate to say it, guys, it's a marathon right now. It's not just going to be over here shortly. And so one of the key personal growth parts about all this is the fact that you need to know who you are. If you have those type of empathic skills, you should not be carrying everyone's knapsack. You need to stop doing that. But you have a lot of energy that you can expand out for everyone's good. Know who you are, know what not to take on. And then again, you must focus strongly on seeing this path that is opening up and the positive change that are going to happen. Because as soon as we're done with one moment, they're going to give you another. I'm telling you, it's going to come in the ebbs and waves. The goal is to wear people out. The goal is to force a civil war. All of these different things going on in the background. I'll be screaming to, the hilltop. This is what they do. This is how they operate. Once you really get it, how they operate, you will not be as susceptible to it, but you're going to have to go through it. We're not jumping this, guys. We're going to have to icebreaker our way through these moments.
Yes, and these thought forms and all of these empathic energies that have been walled in your way, just like, or put in your way. Spirit has a funny way of what he calls brick walling, where you must hit the wall and go right or left. This is what's happening, folks. It is being so put in your face that it cannot go anywhere but in front of you, and you must go right through it. There are distractions energetically in front of all of us right now to prevent these words. Also, your Mr. Smith effect or your Agent Smith effect is quite powerful right now. Not powerful in the sense that it can overtake you, but more potent because of the time of year. It has a megaphone, what you call the mouth, as well as this, and also some of your Tron-like effects as well. You can do another episode on this if you wish, but there is that other world, like what you see in the movies, the same thing. That's an actual considered dimensional space that's being represented. This, there's things coming from there as well. Thought forms go into there, like in your movies with the computer prompt. It was a thought form. Like with your Clue character, is how the character Flynn was. This is very important. That is a topa. That is a life-given form. That is also the story of the AI sparks type of deal. Again, a topa. This is very important, how you teach AI, how you teach energies, how you coalesce those energies. Well, and it starts with, do you know who you truly are? This is why there is such a divergence of identities, both sexual and otherwise. It's both past life and dimensional, as well as what you call body switching. You know about that whole topic, the theys and thems and all this other stuff. But at the same time, you'll find our society is fairly laid back until it can't be. We don't take shit from anything or anybody, but at the same time, we exist in the annihilum, like the forest people do. You'll find when you get to a certain energy wavelength, if you are anything but this, and I'm not saying that you can't be experiencing emotions, you will literally shatter a moon if in other frequencies. Like in that SSP program he talks about, where there were children that were psionically bursting bubbles, moons, planets, suns, all that other stuff. Like your child from Discovery that set all the ships on fire, the dilithium crystals, the Federation on fire, that kind of thing, they burned. This is like that. Also your dune, where the boy was tested as to not give a reaction. That's because that psionics would have burst the skulls of everybody in the room. That's exactly, or blood vessels at the very least. This is exactly what I'm talking about. And also, he experienced today where he was unfortunately tested with a call or two that was trying his patience, a couple of them. Whereas where there was somebody that was completely overwhelmed, and then there was somebody that was overwhelmed but was trying to get a hold of him. He kept doing his work. He ignored. This was not basically him being cold, like what you said. This is being neutral and focusing on the job at hand and not allowing distraction. This is what was happening today with that. Not to be cold, not to be mean towards who these people are, but focusing on what needed to be done. This is what has to happen. Also focusing on who you truly are and what you need to correct. Don't go squirrel, 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 squirrel. Ground. Well, however you need to do that, you do so.
And again, I will say, as far as grounding, to remind people that the earth that we stand upon, when we say ground, you can visualize again the energies coming through your head, growing down from your feet into the ground, and truly grounding yourself, even as just visualizations, if you're unable to get out and get into nature. But the earth itself is here, and the celestial is supportive of us and our energies. So we're standing on a ball of support as well, the natural earth and everything. The only areas, again, we said it earlier, the only areas potentially where that's a problem is there are little minor pockets here or there where the earth energies need to reset on a piece of land.
Yes.
And sometimes, again, if people settle there, a repeating pattern can occur. But that's not the majority of places, okay? So this concept of grounding, however you can do it, but you can also do it by visualization. If you can't get out into nature, you can do it strongly by visualization and let that ground you as well. I would suggest, again, since we're talking about empaths and we're talking about maybe moments of feeling overwhelmed, that you actually take a moment to yourself, excuse yourself, go to the bathroom, do whatever you need to do, to take a moment to do some grounding visualizations just for yourself and refilling your energies and bringing them close to your body and protecting them at that time and ground. And that will help you during a time where you also may be pulling in other energies that you don't need to be. So if you can recognize it when it's going on, take 30 seconds and do something for yourself to reground yourself, to repull your energies, to let go, which is not yours. You'll be surprised when you really learn these skills, and we're not talking things hard. That's the one thing we're known for.
And different breathing exercises as well.
True. And these things that can be done in a very short period of time, okay, to actually help yourself through a hard moment. And so work on these skills and you really will find that it's helpful and you really feel a lot more in control, because one of the things that's happening now is avoidance. And so unfortunately, for people who don't know how to deal with their own energy, sometimes they avoid people, situations. They really, really, get to the point where they don't even want to go anywhere in society. I wish I could say that was a great decision, but it's really not. And so
you must learn how to operate, like in your accountant movie where he had to learn how to operate amongst everybody else, kind of thing.
Yes.
You must.
Yes.
Because there's a lot more, you call it autistic behavior right now.
There really is.
Because not only your vaccines, your vaxes, your COVIDs, all this other stuff, but the mind control as well. So you must learn how to operate within all of this, the noise.
Exactly. And so it's all of these things are really important. So as far as doing the show, I wish we could get away with just saying, oh, this is easy, do this or whatever, but it's not.
Form a shield around yourself. He forms a suit of armor, or sometimes you say charcoal layer as well, whatever manifestation you require. Yes.
Yeah. And so basically, again, like we say, protect your energies, Nothing can come in, you better declare that nothing can come in anywhere that it is basically not for your highest good. You're not carrying anybody else's knapsacks. You do have to arm yourself up a bit, which is what we're talking about here. But you just have to, again, I just stress it. If you can understand the dynamics of the times that we are currently living in, this current present moment, there is going to be a lot of personal growth to be able to understand yourself and control things around you. You've got to grow. You've got to understand what's going on, and it's good to understand why is it going on so that you can get a bigger perspective of what's going on, which usually makes it easier for you to learn from moment to moment what you should be focusing on and what you need to just let go, like water off a duck's back, let's say.
Yes, yes. Not to be mean to whom he was speaking to on all sides and the phone interruption from earlier. But he knew enough to focus on what he was doing and not get distracted. That's why grounding is more important. This is why, most important, this is why he sees the archive that he's working on, for instance, where he looks backwards in time and it's more kind of disheveled. This is because he's seeing the progression of the timeline to a more grounded state. That's why. Organization means grounding.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why it changed. And also the empathic transference, that he's not as susceptible, therefore focused. And also the fact that he's recovered from a lot of his accident injuries, he's able to reground focus. The other thing was so jarring that it gave him no choice but to reground in a very, let's just say, boisterous way. Not to throw him under the bus, but you get the idea.
No, but I think it's, using, we don't have a problem sometimes using ourselves as an example because we are in this with you. We're not above anybody from some of these experiences. We may have, again, we share with our experiences and then what is helpful to us, and we're not ashamed of that or or no one is a failure because this is a growth process. So the other thing again is if you're able to find like-minded people just to talk to and just to co-create with something positive, if you can do any of that. If you feel like your family and you don't get along, and you need to distance yourself because there's nothing but fighting, that's understandable. But again, you don't have to try to convert anybody in their belief system. If you really think about it, there are a lot of things right now with day-to-day life that you all can agree upon, again, and how people should be treated. So look for things in your life with people around you. Be of support when you can. Look for things, again, that you can focus on where you're more like-minded to whomever you're around. Don't focus on feeling that you need to bring their energies to a different place or whatever. You just being who you are and not run amok by everybody else's stuff. Your energies just being who you are will start to bring others' energies to a different place. So just again, which is another reason why they're trying to get people to hang out and not leave their house, because you won't be interacting with people so that you can work on that co-creation of bringing energies up. And so remember these things.
And sometimes that will reground you if you're meant to be around other people. Some people are just under the misguided conception that they're introverts when they're extroverts. And then sometimes people are under the misguided conception that they're extroverts and belong out there when they're introverted. You see, I know all these labels are being thrown around, but some people are just in those two camps, and sometimes they have been told by society, "Oh, you must do this or you must be this way," either by a separation from energies or going to them. This doesn't matter. You must find that path out on your own. Doesn't matter what someone else has told you. Excuse, there are a multitude of energetic interruptions this evening. So do you have any further questions for me?
No, just go ahead and, final thoughts for the show and we'll take it out.
Yes. It's quite obnoxious. Also, sometimes having to babysit Isaac, especially when he's been hit in the head. Oh. I'm actually making fun of him now, and he's like, okay. I'm kidding. He did not get hit in the head. He just was dropped on his head as a child. So I am just joking. He's being kind of crotchety today. He's also taken on some stuff he probably should not have. He got involved with doing stuff again before he was ready. This is also what is the lesson for today. If you don't like, if you do this kind of work and you are not up to it, do not do it. It's that simple, no matter what it is. I know you feel obligation over and honor over feeling, trust feeling. That is more and more the honor lies. Yes, you can fight through something and fight through it and get the thing done that you need to, because some of these crap energies are trying to get you to do nothing too. But just know which is which and discern which is which. So I will leave this here. I will detach now. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Yes, for some reason Isaac's hanging out in the shed over there, like a gnome. But because the gnomish legends actually put them in little tree huts, Yoda huts, and people's sheds. So and fairies too. I find that interesting that he's choosing the shed, even though his edifice is right over there. Yeah, he for like I said, he's somebody that you probably could put some really positive focus towards at the moment. Really hard hitting. You don't know. People always call on their guides like they're supposed to stand in front of you and take a bullet. Some love you enough to where they will, and it's not pretty when it happens because when some of the beings are out of commission, you didn't know how much they were actually doing until they're not there. That's also like with people around you. You don't know how much they've held the space until they're not around anymore. Unless the spirit too, but it's kind of not the same. So, yeah, yes, yes, Isaac, yes, I understand. Thank you. All right. Is that all you can do is nod? Okay. He's like, you have a stroke or something? Okay. But anyway, oh no, somebody's putting an overlay and making fun of him like he's a bobblehead or something. Okay, never mind. That's a joke. Okay. This goes on whether somebody's injured or not, folks. It's back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Anyway, and it was put on another show was laughter as well, improving the energies. And I said Isaac's name meant he who laughs as the etymology for it. You know, it's the previous one of the previous episodes to this one. So I will actually leave this here, Joanna.
No, I hope you guys, really got something. But again, I wish I could say that this wasn't going to be a bit of challenging times, but it is. So again, remember, empaths are more than just people that absorb energies. They can put it out there too. So again, find yourself, ground yourself, and then put out with intention how you want things to be. How does it daydream? How does it look like? How does it taste? How does it feel? Stop absorbing and start putting it out there that this is now the way things are going to happen.
Mhm.
And then again, all those energies will coalesce and we can start to make the true changes we want to see.
Yeah, and when the forest people have always showed me this, that means walk the manifestation, essentially. Walk the path, meaning as if it's a foregone conclusion, like you heard me and Phantom Gigabyte talk about in our show, that's about spells and magic. So I will leave this here. So thank you everybody for watching this episode. Chances are you're seeing this in some point in November. I now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So thank you, everyone. Bye-bye now.
I just realized that we never read the other affirmation and blessing. So, here we go. This is from Vesa. To filter the emotions of others is impossible if your goal is to silence them. You are the one that must find the silence amidst the storm. Vesa. Now, this is now the true ending to the show. I now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So, thank you, everybody. Bye-bye now. It is 12:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday, October 25th, 2025. Thank you.